911, what is the address of your emergency? Okay, what's going on?
My neighbor next door thinks that he's come out screaming out of his house and he thinks his wife is dead in bed.
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God!
Police and emergency workers were already headed to the scene to render aid in the city of Hamilton, Ohio. As they converged on the Parrish Avenue address, they would have no idea what they were stumbling into.
Something along that lines.
She said, there's life squad, there's fire department, there's detectives, there's police. I said, oh my God, what's happened?
There's something about him now and then that clicks. He wanted to cut the fingers off of people.
I mean, my dad's always been a vicious, like, I can't even describe it. It's not a human.
Before we begin, we would like to extend our deepest sympathies to the family and loved ones of Rachelle Brusock. Police Officer Katie Johnson of the Hamilton Police Department was the first on the scene at the small house located at 1270 Parrish Avenue. She went into the house and quickly found Rachelle's body. At first look, it appeared that the woman had suffered from a horrible attack. Officer Johnson quickly made sure the house was clear of any other occupants or potential attackers before allowing arriving paramedics and firefighters to enter the premises. Outside, Rachelle's longtime companion, Toby Madden, was being calmed by other officers and watched closely. Neighbors were gathering to watch as well and to speak to the arriving police officers. The house, which was undergoing renovations, was a total wreck inside. Cabinets, tools, pieces of mismatched furniture were everywhere, mixed with the clothes, groceries, and debris of everyday life. And there, in the front room beside a fallen cabinet, just below the window, lay Rachelle's lifeless, murdered body. Toby began explaining to the police that he had been sleeping and had woken up to find her dead. He had attempted CPR, but she was already gone. He'd yelled for help and ran out into the front yard screaming for help before a next-door neighbor called 911. He remained hysterical and emotional, saying that there had been a group of 3 men inside the house earlier in the day, but that he had been sleeping when they arrived and fell back asleep before they left. Toby would soon be loaded into a police cruiser and taken to the Hamilton Police Department headquarters. Taken into an interview room and left to wait, the man would shortly lay down on the floor and go to sleep. After being awakened by detectives, he was examined for injuries and photographed for evidentiary purposes. Blood evidence on his shirt and shoes, along with scratches on the man's arm and torso, raised immediate warning flags. Had he picked up traces of blood while attempting to render aid to Rachelle, his companion of more than 20 years? Or had he picked them up during a struggle with the woman desperately fighting for her life? Back at the house, detectives and crime scene forensics technicians would go to work. The murder appeared to have happened near where the body was found, and it appeared that there had been some attempt to clean up some of the evidence. In one case, a tile sample board had been leaned up over the front window in a poor attempt to hide a large patch of blood. Blood spatters were still everywhere, and pools of blood were still around the body, testifying to the savagery of the attack. On-scene estimates put the number of stab wounds at over 50. Toby, who was now being held in custody, was being uncooperative and unwilling to provide anything besides his initial story. Detectives spoke individually with 2 sisters who lived in the house next door to Rachelle and Toby. Ann Mayers would be interviewed first on the day after the murder.
So you get up at 9:40 this morning
Yes.
to make your coffee.
Yeah, fooled around,
a
did
little bit.
blood sugar. It was probably 10:30 when I went outside.
And when you say you go outside, you went on your front
On the front porch, yes.
And you're okay.
Yes. And I was sitting there flipping through the phone, my messages and phone messages and everything, and all of a sudden I heard, now I'm going to do it so they don't come in here busting in here.
That's all right. Yeah. Something along that lines.
It was a woman's, it wasn't a man's holler.
Yeah.
Or screaming, I don't know it was a scream fest, or because I only heard that voice or that screech.
And you think it was around 10:30?
I'd say around there, 10:30, 11:15.
Okay.
Okay? And I never thought a thing of it. Nothing else went on. I went in, fixed something to eat, and my sister come and says, "Sissy, there's police everywhere." I said, "In Hamilton?" It's a joke.
Yeah.
And she said, "There's life squad, there's fire department, there's detectives, there's police." I said, "Oh my God, what's happened?"
But how familiar had they become with Toby over the short time the couple had been next door?
But the most part that you know is it's her and another guy that's staying there?
Toby. We know Toby
So you know
because he's
Toby.
always hollering at us about, not mean hollering, but
Right.
saying, "Hey, how are
Okay.
you?"
So you're familiar with Toby?
Yeah, he had a honey-do list yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, and we were, "Get your honey-do list done," and he says, "Oh my God,"
Yeah.
but we have no big conversations with these people,
Okay.
but we're cordial, and
Right.
they are too. First time I met Toby, he came up our front steps, which we don't use. We're in the process of blocking those off. So
Right.
go up the driveway and he came up and just conversed. He seemed like a nice guy. I thought, for once, we're going to have good neighbors.
Right.
Sadly, the neighbors had not brought peace and quiet with them. Anne's sister, Linda, who was raising her middle school-aged grandson in the home, spoke next with the detective.
She seemed like a wonderful lady, but there's something about him now and then that clicks. It sounds strange to say this, but something in him clicks. He wasn't like that quite a few times, and that's why I asked her, is there something that he's supposed to be taking that he's not taking? Because that one day he was so weird. It was just, we had to go in, and then we said we're not even going to talk to him because we just got the heebie-jeebies out of him.
Like, was there something that he was doing that caused that?
Like
or?
a psycho, like a psycho. Just really strange.
I guess trying to describe it, if you could, to me to understand. Like, it's his
Like he was
behavior.
in a frenzy,
Okay.
a real deep frenzy.
He's like yelling and screaming?
Well, somebody had broken into his car
Okay.
with a screwdriver, and he had one of these guys that came down from back behind the house next to him. He had him like blocked, and he had him for like 2 hours, and you could see him talking about his stuff and all this, and he was like in a frenzy, and he ran up the steps and ran up the front steps. We had him blocked off
Yeah.
because you have to go around the driveway to get up. But he ran up the steps and said something to Ann and ran back down and went and talked to this guy and ran back up and ran over across. He was just like in a frenzy. It was a weird, like a panic frenzy.
Yeah.
And we were not comfortable with it at all. It was
So what normal behavior for him, and it puts you on edge?
Well, I don't know if it's normal for him, and that's why I asked his wife. Well, it's not his wife. It was his. I said, "Are you married to him?" And she says, "You might as well say I am." So they must have been boyfriend and girlfriend for some time.
Okay.
Toby had left Linda ill at ease with his behavior. Linda did develop a genuine concern for Rachel. Investigators found out that the house was owned by Rachel's sister, Sherry Celesti, and brother-in-law, Kim Sharp. They had hoped that the new surroundings might provide a reset for Rachel after the last few rocky years the couple had suffered through. While the original plans were to have the house completely renovated before they moved in, Rachel had grown tired of the hassle and expense of living in a motel. The couple had just moved in a week before the murder.
Toby Manning had been gone for a while. He kind of disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
Nobody knew where he was. And then he suddenly reappears one day.
At our house with her.
Yeah.
The first time we saw him that he resurfaced
Yeah.
was they were together at our house.
How did they see him when you saw him?
Little weird. Made a story that he'd been traveling on doing these parking lot car sales for weeks at a time across the country, and that they were done doing these parking lot events, and he somehow found his way back, and she literally told us at dinner that day, and he was with dinner, that he just called out of the blue and said, "Pick me up at this place," and
Wasn't it like in Kentucky?
Yeah, Kentucky. And then they came in to our house. That was, we were the first ones to see him surface.
The odd dynamic between Toby and Rochelle had been going on for nearly a decade before, and his behavior, while erratic, was supposed to be improving with his medications. He had also taken a hand in doing some of the work around the house himself. Still, there was something about that night before Rochelle's death that gave Sherry and Kim pause. Then, Sherry remembered an encounter with a neighbor that had been asking about Toby's behavior in the week prior.
I was down at the house last week, the Parrish Avenue house, and she was outside picking up after other people's dogs. And the lady next door on the left, I think her name was Linda, she lives in a dark gray house.
Okay.
And they were out there talking when I arrived. And Linda said to her, the conversation they were having was, Linda said to her, and I heard this, she said, "So is he your husband or what?" And Rochelle said, "Why? Is he bothering you, or is there a problem?" And Linda said, and I told you this, she said, "He's weird.
Okay.
He's really weird." And
then
like creepy weird. And
Rochelle's comment to you.
it was that, and Rochelle said, well, she says he can be weird. She said, I'm sorry if he was bothering you. And I said to her, so we went up those steps, and I said to her, I don't think that's good. You've only been here a few days, and the neighbor's already saying that he's weird.
Right.
That's not good. And she says, he is weird, and she says, he's quite frankly getting too weird for me.
Toby was much more than just a strange man who had moved into the neighborhood. Toby had a long history in Hamilton, and it wasn't a very good one. He'd served time as a juvenile for shooting 3 people, paralyzing one of them. He was also a known drug abuser of crack cocaine and, more recently, crystal meth. A cousin of his, Tanya Cook, had come to the police department to speak with Detective Robert Horton to give a better picture of what kind of man Toby was, the situation that Rochelle had been living in, and what may well have led up to the incident.
Sometimes he would act normal, like a normal human being.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like always going to the door, checking, looking outside.
Did he ever tell you, like, anybody was after him or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so first it was a gang.
Okay.
I don't know what gang it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure I probably heard the name of it or whatever. I guess he beat up a guy in a bar years ago.
Okay.
And it ended up being a gang, one of the gang members, and they've been after him all this time.
Okay.
Well, then it goes into, Rochelle was sexed into this gang, that all the members of the gang slept with her, and now she's a member of the gang.
Could a drug-fueled paranoia mixed with underlying psychosis have pushed Toby to act out and to take the life of the woman who cared for him?
I think anybody is capable of murdering somebody, but I know, without a shadow of a doubt, he did that to Rochelle.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What makes you think that?
Because he said it too many times.
So how many times do you think he said it?
Almost every time he comes to my house, he would, if it wasn't Rochelle he was going to kill someone else. He wanted to cut the fingers off of people. I had a cigar cutter laying on the table. I don't even know where it comes from. I buy junk all the time.
Okay.
And he asked could he have it because he wanted to cut somebody's finger. I was like, yeah, sure, Toby, take it.
Well, let me ask you this. So now when I talked to you on the phone, you kind of alluded to it. You said he had threatened to kill Rochelle. Did he say why or what? Or why he was going to do it? Or he was just upset? Or, what?
It's because he thinks all these things.
Like the stuff about her being in a gang or
and
cheating?
She's against him. She's with them, so therefore
okay.
they want to kill him, so does she.
So let me ask you this, so was she trying to get away from him now, or just kind of trying to move on?
She was trying to get on with her life. That's the part where it gets all messed up.
Okay.
To like get away from them.
Well,
We don't understand. Okay, so like we sat and talked about this for hours.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with us that we can't get away from these idiots that are treating us this way and saying stupid stuff? He held her hostage. I know he did.
What was that?
When she lived in Covington, her landlord lived in the bottom. He held her hostage there. I think this was a separate incident when he took and hit her in the head with the axe.
What was that?
When they lived in Covington and in the lake. I think that's when she realized that he may just try to really kill her.
Tanya would go on to tell of another incident at Christmas time when Rochelle and Toby had come to their house for a get-together, but ended up with the two in an argument. The argument moved outside, where Rochelle had defended herself by hitting Toby with a stick, but Toby had turned around and pointed a gun right at her head. The fight happened directly in front of Tanya's child.
At that point, and that's when I told him, I don't care, you may be family, but I want nothing to do with you.
And there was no doubt in Tanya's mind that Toby had finally killed Rochelle on that fateful October morning in 2022. Rochelle and Toby's 24-year-old daughter, Michaela Madden, would speak with the detectives next. She would add light on the relationship between the couple, and she had few kind words to say, if any, for her father.
So, now I know, what I'm trying to do is reach my eyes to come in here. I'm trying to get
Background?
Yes. Of everything.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. And, which I'm sure Ginger probably had already said something to you about it. And I mean, we're trying to figure out kind of like what's been
What's
going
wrong
on.
with the man?
Well, just I mean, I know they lived with you in, was it up in Loveland? You said?
Yeah, well, he didn't really live there.
Right.
He brought his junk that he likes to call that he can make money off of. Never wanted to get a job.
Okay.
I mean,
has he been that way like your whole life?
No.
Or no?
you know? I mean, he's always been abusive, alcoholic, drug user.
Yeah.
Leave on the holidays, events, certain things. Would leave on Christmas Day, not come back for a while, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been a very abusive, physically, emotionally, verbally, all that through my childhood. Domestic violence was a lot.
On you or your mom?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I've seen it a lot growing up. Sorry, let me just put this in here. I feel heavy.
I mean, you say domestic violence. I mean, was he putting hands on
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hitting, punching?
Oh, yeah. I used to have fist fights with my dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not letting him touch my mom.
Right, I get you.
Foremost, you're always going to protect,
Right.
what's yours as my mom,
Right.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Michaela would, however, talk about the love and commitment she had for her mother, trapped in a relationship and a codependency she couldn't seem to get out of, mainly because Toby would never stay gone for very long. In the end, she could only give a last damning statement about her father.
Drugs have killed his brain cells tremendously. I look at that mugshot and I don't see a human in there. Is that weird to say?
No.
I don't see a human. I see you. And my daughter asked, I see, as she tells me our monsters real, I'm really yes, they walk this earth.
Toby would remain in jail without bond. His indictment for first-degree murder and felonious assault charges would be handed down in 2022. During this time, autopsy reports on Rochelle came back showing that she had been stabbed a total of 55 times with a short-bladed knife. She suffered wounds to her head, neck, torso, back, arms, and one knee. In the house on the day of the murder was found a shopping bag from Kroger's. Inside, along with a number of candy bars, was a receipt that had been printed out showing that someone using Toby's card made the purchase just after 9 p.m. the night before the murders. It would take over 2 years for Toby to be brought into court and sit before a jury. In the intervening time, Toby would fire 5 defense attorneys, 4 appointed for the court, and attempt to act as his own defense twice before an end was put to his shenanigans and a final attorney was appointed for him. Once he got to court, however, he would oftentimes be disruptive, eventually having to be removed from the courtroom for his outbursts.
55 times. Each time this defendant stabbed Rochelle, she got closer to her death. As Dr. Updegrove told you through those photographs. Each stab wound brought her closer to death. She got butchered in the home that she was renovating. And I ask that you hold this defendant responsible for killing her. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that State Exhibit
Jurors,
number
I'm going to ask you to
66
return to the jury room.
State Exhibit 66 is a stick in there. And I also, if you look at the video of them questioning me down at the police station, if you look at it, they asked me, how did the blood get in the sink? I told them that there was blood on my face after I was doing CPR, and I told them that I went to the sink.
At this time.
Look at State number Exhibit number 66. Ask for it back there and see. There's a stick right there. They won't. There's plenty of things they won't bring to you. Ask for it. Right?
You can get that. Okay, now we
Right.
Okay, so
I know you're not commenting.
the court is not going to tolerate. Let me get back on from there.
You're not, listen,
All right,
what
we're
you're
going
not
to
going
move
to
to
do
the
is I'm not
defendant to
going to
the
sit
upstairs
here
room
and
location and
allow
take a
you
recess.
to.
Thank you.
This is what you did the last time went on.
Toby was often emotional during the 5-day trial, but never admitted to the killing.
What's your request of Officer Taras?
Volkachev.
Say his name right.
Volkachev.
Okay, yes.
I asked him to stay with the defendant and keep him where he was at while I cleared the house so that EMS was safe.
Okay. What were you concerned? Why did you want to clear the house to make sure that EMS was safe?
Well, at this time, I did not know if there was anyone else left in the house that possibly could have done this to her.
Okay.
Toby's erratic behavior would eventually lead him to having to be physically removed from the presence of his own attorney. In the end, after all the delays, threats, and theatrics by Toby Madden, the jury took less than 2 hours to deliberate and return guilty verdicts on all counts. Judge Jennifer McElfresh would hand down a sentence of 15 years to life, with an additional judgment of 10 years for being a repeat offender. He would not be eligible for parole for 25 years. Rachelle's kindness and caring nature lingers on in the memories of her loved ones, but it may also have been part of her downfall, unable to give up on a man as vile and dangerous as one could imagine, even at the risk of her own life. If you find yourself in a situation of domestic violence, please seek out the resources in your community or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline in the United States at 1-800-799-7233. You are not alone.